I am officially retiring from the NFL and Green Bay Packers, and
Winter in Green Bay arrives with a kind of reverence that feels almost religious. Snow does not simply fall there, it settles, layer by layer, over Lambeau Field, as if laying a sacred cloth over an altar. The air grows sharp and still, carrying the breath of tens of thousands of fans who gather not merely to watch a game, but to participate in a ritual. Their exhalations rise together into the silver-gray sky, forming a living mist above the stands. From within that cold silence comes a chant, slow, rhythmic, unwavering. Favre, Favre. It does not sound like ordinary cheering. It sounds like a heartbeat, a collective pulse, a shared faith. They are not simply calling the name of a quarterback. They are honoring a man who transformed Sundays into something sacred, a man who made toughness feel virtuous and vulnerability feel unnecessary. Brett Favre did not redefine football by perfect technique or polished precision. He redefined it through belief, through fearlessness, through the refusal to stop even when his body begged him to. For millions of Americans, especially in the Midwest, Brett Favre became more than an athlete. He became a symbol of resilience, of endurance, of the promise that effort alone could overcome any obstacle. Born in poverty in Kiln, Mississippi, Favre carried the dust of red dirt roads and the weight of expectation long before he ever wore green and gold. Kiln was not a place that nurtured dreams gently, it hardened them. Life there was shaped by heat, labor, and silence. In a small house at the edge of town, Brett grew up under the watchful gaze of his father, Irvin Favre, a high school football coach whose presence commanded obedience and whose approval was rarely spoken aloud. Irvin believed that discipline forged men, that pain was not an enemy but a teacher. In that household, love was not delivered through comfort or reassurance. It came through instruction, through commands, through expectation. You did not cry. You did not linger on pain. You got up or you were left behind. Football became the language Brett learned to speak fluently. Behind the house, on uneven ground and packed dirt, he threw a ball into an old metal bucket again and again until his hands bled and his shoulders burned. Each throw was an offering. Each spiral carried the same unspoken hope that maybe this time his father would look at him a moment longer. Maybe this time the stern eyes would soften. Maybe this time he would hear the words he craved, "I'm proud of you." They never came. His mother, Benita, was gentle and kind, a quiet presence who tried to soften the edges of a household ruled by discipline. But her voice was often lost, like smoke dissipating in open air. He loved her, yet he learned early that tenderness held no power in his world. Strength did. And strength, as modeled by his father, meant silence. So Brett swallowed fear. He buried doubt. He learned how to endure without asking for relief. That habit would one day look like confidence to the world. In truth, it was survival. As a boy, Brett was not exceptional in the classroom. He learned slowly. He preferred the woods to desks, the ball to books. But on the dirt field behind his home, he found purpose. Even in thunderstorms, feet caked with mud, rain soaking his clothes, he threw until his arm went numb. Each missed throw earned a sigh from his father. Each perfect one earned only a fleeting glance, the highest reward available. Once, after a violent fall, Brett broke his nose. Blood poured down his face. He wanted to cry. Instead, his father picked up the ball, tossed it back, and said, "Do it again." Brett did, blood staining his shirt, never daring to wipe it away. In Mississippi, tears were considered weakness. Brett learned quickly. That boy grew up carrying a constant sense of being never quite enough. It followed him through adolescence, into high school practices where he stood on the sidelines watching his father coach other players, laughing, shouting, living the game Brett desperately wanted to belong to. He was born on a football field, yet never truly seen as a player, only as the coach's son. That absence of recognition became obsession, to be seen, to be remembered, to be loved. At 16, Brett began throwing farther and harder than anyone around him. Not to win games, but to avoid disappointment. Every pass was a plea, "Dad, look at me." At night, he sat on the wooden porch steps, listening to crickets and to his father's cough inside the house, promising himself that one day he would be somebody, someone his father could never turn away from. Mississippi taught him strength, but it stole something just as vital, the right to be weak. Years later, America would call him Iron Man, but inside he was still that boy from Kiln, the child not allowed to cry. He learned how to rise after every fall. He never learned how to heal. In 1991, Brett Favre left Mississippi carrying an old suitcase and dreams larger than his youth. The Atlanta Falcons drafted him in the second round, but to them they were expendable, a reckless Southern kid with a cannon arm and little discipline. He barely played. When he did, he struggled. Interceptions piled up. No one remembered his name. Yet inside, Brett made a quiet promise. One day, they would have to see him. On September 1st, 1992, fate intervened. The Falcons traded Favre to the Green Bay Packers, a small, frigid franchise in icy Wisconsin, where football was not entertainment, but faith. Favre arrived unnoticed, wearing an old jacket, hair unkempt, face unfamiliar. But when starting quarterback Don Mikowitzki was injured weeks later, Brett was thrust onto the field. His first pass fell incomplete. His second was intercepted. But his third, a long throw cutting through the frozen wind, landed perfectly in the hands of Kittrick Taylor in the end zone. Lambeau Field erupted. A snow-white city burned with hope. At 23, the boy from Kiln had ignited a legacy. Favre played as if every game might be his last. He threw without calculation, ran towards danger rather than away from it, refused to leave the field even when broken fingers, torn shoulders, or concussions blurred his vision. They called him the gunslinger. To him, it was survival. He did not play for contracts or titles. He played to avoid returning home as a failure in his father's eyes. By the mid-1990s, Favre had turned the NFL into a theater of courage. He won 3 consecutive MVP awards, an achievement never repeated. He led Green Bay to a Super Bowl victory, hoisting the Lombardi Trophy amid falling confetti and tears streaming down his face. In a divided nation, Brett Favre became something rare, a unifying figure, a reason to cheer together. But glory came with a cost. Behind the applause were long nights alone in locker rooms, hands wrapped in tape, shoulders bruised, painkillers lined up beside whiskey bottles. Each morning he woke in agony and stepped back onto the field smiling. To Brett, pain was proof he was alive. Doctors urged rest. He refused. Sitting out felt like betrayal of his father, of Green Bay, of the belief he had built with his body. Every hit stole something: memory, balance, peace. Yet he told no one. He smiled and said, "I'm fine." The world believed him. They called him immortal. In December 2003, everything shattered. Brett's father died suddenly of a heart attack. There were no final words, no closure. The next night, Favre played anyway. Against the Raiders on Monday Night Football, he delivered one of the greatest performances in NFL history. 399 yards, 4 touchdowns. America watched in awe. Favre played not as an athlete, but as a grieving son. Each pass was a message sent skyward. When the game ended, he collapsed in the locker room and wept like a child. Victory had never felt so empty. After football, the noise changed. Scandals replaced cheers, investigations replaced celebrations. The public who once adored him now questioned him. Fame that once shielded him magnified his flaws. Through it all, one presence remained steady: Deanna, his wife, his anchor. When the world doubted him, she whispered, "I believe in you." Then came the final battle: Parkinson's disease. Trembling hands, fading memory. The man who once read defenses at lightning speed now left notes to remember keys, medication, names. His greatest fear was not death, but forgetting her. Each morning he asks Deanna, "Do you know I love you?" She smiles and answers, "I know." He replies, "Good, because if I forget everything else, I want that to remain." Brett Favre no longer plays for America. He plays for memory, for dignity, for love. His legacy is no longer found only in records or championships, but in the courage to stand when the cheering stops. He reminds us that true strength is not never falling, it is learning how to live, love, and soften when you do. And perhaps that is the lesson we owe him. Not just applause for what he gave us, but understanding for what it cost.